Hello, Fallen Dragonite here again, and this is the... I really don't remember how many takes I've taken. Seriously, this has been taking a long time, and this is 2 months overdue because I want to do the Reign of Megatron first before I reviewed this. I ordered it at the exact same time as that Megatron I have been having a lot of difficulty getting. Seriously, first guy had to refund me, second guy took the money and ran. Third guy, I have no idea. We'll see if that even goes through. Anyway, without further ado, we are now looking at the Throne of Primes. Normally I don't review the box, but this is a special case. First off, this thing was originally released as a San Diego Comic-Con exclusive back in 2018. As of this recording, the 2019 San Diego Comic-Con was last weekend. This is, of course, the Takara release. My first Takara import, and I noticed something when I got the box. You see the PP43 on there? This is a sticker. That threw me off. In fact, this whole bottom panel is also just one big sticker. In fact, when we look at the instruction manual, this is all in English. I believe this is exactly the same as the instruction manual you got with the San Diego Comic-Con version, except for, again, a little Japanese sticker in the corner. I don't really know what this says, but yeah, this leads me to believe that this was actually the San Diego Comic-Con box, and they just put the Takara stickers on it. Anyway, while we have the box out, let's look at this side, which shows all of the Prime Masters. I sadly do not have them all, and for reasons I will discuss later, but it is a nice little display. We also have the top of the box, which has a nice Maxima logo on there, and this vine detail as well. This all works well with the diorama in the box, which we will cover near the end of the review. And then we have this really nice artwork of Optimal Optimus holding the scepter in the air with all the Prime Masters. And this is the exact same artwork on the collector card. You might notice something too. Not sure if it comes on camera, but if I bring this in, yeah, another black sticker. And oddly shaped. I think right here would be the choking hazard warning that would be on the English box. So putting, or maybe even the barcode, because the barcode normally is on here for the Japanese version. So yeah, black stickers all over the box, which again makes me believe that is just the re-release of the San Diego Comic-Con version just in Takara, which is a lot easier to get the Takara version over the San Diego Comic-Con version. And since this review is already taking long enough, we are going to finally review the toy itself. There is the robotic monkey and the boss monkey himself, Optimus Primal. We are starting Optimus Primal in his robot mode because, yeah, his vehicle mode is basically how it all integrates together. So we'll talk about the robot monkey later, and we will look at Optimus Primal, who is looking very closely accurate to the original Beast Wars version of Optimus Primal, with the exception of this giant backpack. Yeah, a lot of people took issue with that. I basically see it as a sacrifice for what he has to do for transformation. The head sculpt is really nice and is on a nice swivel joint. There's also the transformation joint that gets a little rock, but not much. Nice maximal symbol here, and his chest sculpt is dead on. A little blockier than the original version. The paint apps are just all nice. And I believe the original retail version is also pretty much the same, just a few different shades here and there. Universal shoulders, ball jointed elbows, nothing at the wrist or waist, especially because of the transformation. Ball jointed hips and thigh swivel with a double jointed knee for transformation. And of course he needs his weapons, which he has these weird little things. They work perfectly well as blasters. I'm not going to argue that, but they're also supposed to be used as clubs. Kind of weird. Also, because much like any other Prime Master, Power of the Prime's leader class, the weapons can be combined together to make a super weapon, which in this just looks kind of ridiculous. And trust me, you probably won't be using it in the combined modes. So, speaking of, we should probably just get right onto that. So we just fold his head into his chest. There is a peg there that goes into a hole into his arm, which just clips it in place. We take his thighs and rotate them in like so. And there is a tab here that goes into the slot here for both sides. And a tab here and a slot in the foot, which tabs it all together. Same with the other side. And probably we should untab this so we have more room to work when we tab his legs and arms together. And of course we got the tabs here that go into the slots there. The hinge is kind of weird because it slides and whatnot, so. And there is Optimus Primal's vehicle mode, which is some kind of flat space plank of some kind. Yeah, and also the joints here don't really hold too well sometimes, depending on how you're holding it anyway. People kind of did not like this. Kind of looks weird. Regardless, we'll deal with that later. I'm going to the robot monkey, which is not colored like the retail version. Yeah, the retail version is orange and maroon and all sorts of colors, made to look like the original Optimus Prime, the Optimal Optimus from Beast Wars. I have the original Optimal Optimus from Beast Wars. I am not taking him out of storage for this. He has nice little rotation in his head. He's got universal elbows with that extra joint right there. Elbow joint, which locks in place if you straighten it all the way up. It's actually true to the original Optimal Optimus. A rotating wrist, although it is very tight because you'll rotate the joint in the elbow as well. And thumb moves due to transformation, and he has a knuckle joint. I am surprised that in all these years they didn't add another knuckle joint, and I do want to get a third-party hand kit to make that a little better. It's got universal hips, no knees because they're clipped in place right now for this squat pose. This more or less is just there to get it out of the way, and the feet, which are different than the original Optimal Optimus because you can move it forward and back. You also have an ankle tilt, which the original Optimal Optimus did not have. And he also has this giant gap in the back. There is a reason for that, but you'll see when we do the transformations. And the first thing we're going to do is the integration with his feet. You can see tabs and slots. So yeah, we just tab him in to this big old plank of a ship, and it's a lot easier to do off camera. Hang on. Yeah, gotta line this up just right to get it on there. And he's riding the ship like a surfboard. This is actually a reference to the Transmetal Optimal Optimus. And this was also referenced in the 10th anniversary Beast Wars Optimus Primal, which was also the Cybertron Optimus Primal. It looks completely ridiculous. But it's a nice integration regardless. And there's also another integration mode that we can do, and we have to flip his head out for this. We take this. We take this piece right here. There are tabs on either side of the cockpit, and there are slots right in there that we just slide it in place like so. It works better when I'm not doing this on camera, because I'm trying to do it behind a viewfinder instead of in my face, so I can't see. Anyway, tab, slot, tab, slot. We just make sure that we get the hinges right to make sure that it tabs in place. Put his head back into position. We take these cannons and plug them into the holes right there. And he looks more like the original Optimal Optimus toy with the giant gun backpack. This fills in the gap. Kind of looks ridiculous, but I ain't arguing. Kind of like this. So, without further ado, let's get into the next mode, which requires us to take this off. We rotate the monkey head as we collapse it into the body cavity. Fold back the feet. We untab his legs because we need them untabbed for what we're going to do. And make sure that we have these little ankle fins out. Rotate these panels right here. Fold all the hinges in his arm out. Lock the elbows on each side. We don't really need to do anything with the hands. And we rotate these little dinky wings out. Again, there are larger wings you can get from third-party offerings to make this look a little better. As well as getting the other vehicle mode in, but we will talk about that a little later. So yeah, the armor's ready. Now we gotta take this, pull these out, and flip them up to here. Take this, and we gotta move the hinges in a weird way so that it looks like that. And this, again, peg, slot, right into the back side like so. And additionally, gotta make sure these are straight because there are tabs here and a slot in his foot to keep the feet locked in place. Unfortunately, these tabs are really finicky and don't always work. And there we have his kind of Superman jet mode, which again is true to the original toy. He doesn't have his car mode. I don't really see that as a big loss because they didn't do it in the titanium version either. Okay, there we go. We're all in camera. Kind of looks stupid, but what can you do? So now we get into his final combined mode. So we take the torso, straighten the feet. These tight joints, which I'm almost afraid of breaking sometimes, have to be straightened out. Take his fins, fold them to the back of his feet so they hide nice and flush to his ankles, which is something that the original Optimal Optimus did not do. Rotate his waist like so. Rotate the arms. Rotate the thumb. Rotate the wrist. which is a really tight joint. Pop this panel out. You don't have to, but it is one of the things that you do to make it more accurate to the original Optimus, as it just plugs into the top of the shoulder like so. We'll rotate his panel up like that. Fold in the arm just ever so, and do the same to the other side. As you can see, there's holes, pegs, and a bit of a clip that makes sure that it stays on a little bit more secure than the original Optimus, because these things were spring-loaded originally, and boy did they pop off pretty easily. So, with that out of the way, we now go into this thing, which we have to pull those off. We'll set those to the side for now. Gotta keep this somewhat like that. Gotta pop the head out. Fortunately, the joint on this is so tight, I have to get a little thing right in there in order to pop it out. So, yeah. Pull his head out, and that is a really tight connection. I have to hold it in a certain way to make sure I don't flex or possibly break it if I have to fold the head back in. Anyway, rotate the head out like so, and we need to untab this section so we can integrate it into the giant robot, which we have tabs and slots. We just plug that in, fold his chest in place, and then these two tabs slot in back here, but it is a very loose connection, so it doesn't really hold in too well. And there we have Optimus in his combined robot mode. And other than the weird color scheme that the original retail version had, as well as the original Optimus, this thing is colored to look more like Optimus Primal, even down to the Matrix, which is, instead of its gold and silver color, is white and red. Again, to match the chest detail of Optimus Primal. Yes, this is removable. You can put a Prime Master in there, or Titan Master if you want to be really weird about it. So we're just going to pop that back in. Oh wait, I should probably mention, this looks like a cockpit, but a Titan Master and a Prime Master will not be able to sit in this. I've tried, other people have tried, it just doesn't work. Regardless, what do we do with these now? Well, there are a few ways. One of the ways is to plug it into his thumb like so, and that looks completely stupid. Yeah. The instructions actually tell you to do that. I highly recommend against it. You could plug him in back up here, but what you're supposed to do is move the hinges a little, like so, and plug in the cannons like that. Which is, of course, true to the original Optimus, where he has these collarbone cannons, I would call them, which is accurate to the original. But there is one other way to integrate the cannons into the robot mode. These also work in beast mode as well. You just plug him in to his legs like so, which is how I usually have him displayed, and this is how he was in the box. So yeah, they just plug into his legs. So with that out of the way, we got two more accessories to look at. First off, his crown of primes, which has a nice maximal symbol right there. Nice colored detail on the front. Nice painted gold plastic. I think this is painted gold. It might not be painted. It could just be gold plastic. Not the bad kind of gold plastic. Anyway, it's nice and snug right on top of his head like so. Works really nice, and it will not work on Optimus Primal, only on the Optimal Optimus head. Next up, the Scepter of Sparks. This accessory is also exclusive to this. You can see I have the 4 Prime Masters that he comes with plugged in here. You could take them out, but they are kind of hard to get in and out easily without stripping the paint on their heads. So I'm not going to do it on camera, and besides, you've kind of already seen what a Prime Master looks like. They all basically have different sculpts, but they all transform about the same way. So without further ado, let's actually go into naming all of them. Which I'm going to get the guide out so I can name them properly and not get lynched by fans. This is Amalgamus Prime, right here. This is Nexus Prime. This is Prima Prime. And this is what's known as the 13th Prime. Unfortunately, they have no name for the 13th Prime. That's because they want to keep some sort of air of mystery around the 13th Prime. He also kind of looks like the core of the Matrix, which is kind of neat. As for Optimal Optimus holding him, there is 4 little tabs on the side, and there is a series of slots inside his hand, which you'd think would work just nicely, but unfortunately it doesn't really hold in too well. The friction holding it in is extremely loose. So long as I don't monkey around with it, and I know people are going to point out the pun. So long as I don't really touch it or move it too much, it holds fine. But it doesn't really hold in all too well. Again, another reason I want to get the third-party hands, because he'll probably hold it a lot better with those. So then, before we get to the last part of the review, let's do some comparisons. Here he is next to the Amazon exclusive Nemesis Prime. And here he is next to Rodimus Cronus, who was as the only black repaint that was in mass retail. Yeah, I got all 3 leaders, and I got them all only in their black repaint. Kind of weird how that turned out, because, yeah, I got Rodimus Uchronus because he is an homage to Shattered Glass, which we don't get a whole lot of. I got Nemesis Prime because he just looked a lot better color-wise than the Optimus Prime. And I got the Throne of Prime's Optimal Optimus because of the included Prime Masters that complete the collection, and because of the display piece he comes with. Which, yes, it is now finally time to talk about the display piece that goes with the diorama. The Throne of Primes. Yeah, I kind of had to be very careful getting Optimal Optimus out of the box. There was a clear plastic point on the top here, which I sadly had to cut out, so there is a bit of damage right there on the slot there, but oh well. Kind of had to get him out sooner or later. As you can see, we have the Halo of Primes up here, which I have all of the Prime Masters that are in the Scepter just clipped in like so. As you can see, there's Prima Prime spot right there. They're all labeled as such. There's only one I wasn't able to get. I believe it's this one right here. That is, of course, Onyx Prime spot. The only way you could get Onyx Prime is if you got the Predaking set. And I am probably not going to ever get the Predaking set because he is expensive and I do not have the shelf space for it. Anyway, if you'll excuse me, we will finally get Optimal Optimus, sitting on his throne, which he does so really nicely. I know this part is not really supposed to be part of the throne, but I don't want to damage this any more than I have to. But he just looks so nice sitting down on his throne. We can also see the faces of other candidates for the Matrix, because remember, this was a vote off. Optimus Primal was the one who won the vote off for Power of the Primes. I would have much rather that a certain Japanese exclusive character got in instead, because we never really got that original character in America. Or maybe just morbidly also Megatron, because it would probably be ironic for him to get the Matrix, but Optimal Optimus was at least a decent choice. Let's position him a little so he actually fits in those grooves. And yeah, you can see as soon as you bump it, it just pops right out. Regardless, that is the Throne of Prime's Optimal Optimus, and it is a nice display piece. He's a nice toy too, but let's face it, this is a display piece. Anyway, that is my review, and I hope to see you guys again next video. I would do more of a better outro, but let's face it, after like nearly 20 takes, I think I'm pretty much done with this review, and I just want to get this over with, so bye.